Season 23 is here! Yay! Finally, new builds to demolish the Destiny PvE. Let's get it. I'm going to be showing you guys the best solar builds for each character in Season 23. There are seasonal mods in Season 23 which make solar builds extremely overpowered, especially for the Warlock in my opinion. And if you guys would like to see more videos like these, I do have another one in mind that may come out in the near future. So if you want to see that video, be sure to hit that like button and also hit that subscribe button. For the Warlock, let me explain what abilities, aspects, and fragments you need. For the abilities, you're going to want to use Phoenix Dive, and for your solar melee, you're going to need to use Celestial Fire, and for your solar grenade, you need to use Solar Grenade. Adoy. For the aspects, you need to use Touch of Flame, which enhances your solar grenades, and for your second aspect is Icarus Dash. Might as well we're talking about the Icarus Dash. Here's what exotic you need for this build on the Warlock. It is called the Rain of Fire. It would passively grant 30 airborne effectiveness to fusion rifles and linear fusion rifles. Whenever you get a kill, it will give you Radiant for 7.5 seconds. But we could be able to extend Radiant with the fragments that we have for this build. If you have air dodge as your aspect and you would use that, it would refill the magazine only to fusion and linear fusions. So that's why I put Icarus Dash as an aspect. Now let's head to the fragments. For the fragments, you're going to want to put Ember of Solace, which extends the duration for Radiant and Restoration. The second one, Ember of Singeing. Third one, Ember of Eruption. And fourth one, Ember of Searing. For the kinetic weapon, you can choose any special weapon you would like because the kinetic weapons don't really matter. But in this video, I put Riptide. For the exotic weapon, you're going to have to put Vex Mythoclast. And for the catalyst, if you do have it, it basically gives you Rampage for this weapon. And for your power weapon, I do recommend going for a solar linear fusion rifle. So in this video, I'm using the Cataclysmic, but I know there are other solar linear fusion rifles, but this is the one that I would prefer. Now let's head to the seasonal artifact mods that makes this build 10 times better. So as what you see here on screen, these are the seasonal mods that you need for this build. Let me explain which seasonal mods benefit for this build. On the second column, it's called Kindling Trigger. Radiant causes solar weapons to apply Scorch to unscorched targets. So with this build, each time you get a kill with your fusion rifle, it gives you Radiant and it scorches them. On the third column, this is how you can be able to debuff a boss or a champion. So causing damage with the solar ability weakens champions and bosses for a short duration. So either your solar grenade or your solar melee. And on the fifth and final column, this is the one where I think it's super nifty when doing ad clear, and here's why. While Radiant, solar precision final blows causes combatants to ignite. Yes, you heard that right. Whenever you get a precision final blow, they ignite, which makes this build super broken and also super fun, which I do like. And here are the armor mods for this build if you guys are interested, but of course the dim link will also be in the link in the description and also with the other two classes as well. And for the stats that you should be using, I do recommend going for resilience and also discipline. And also why I chose to use Vex Mythoclast, because in this season it got a massive buff. Let me explain which buff it got. So the buff increases the damage to miners by 10%, bosses by 25%, and champions by 200% when using the linear fusion mode. So it will deal 200% increased damage to champions, but you can also stack that with debuffing effects like that seasonal artifact mod that I was mentioning earlier. And now that we're done explaining what you guys need for this build on the Warlock, now let's head to the Hunter. Let me explain the exotic armor you're going to be using. It is Shards of Galanor. I did make a previous video a couple of weeks ago, but I just want to let you guys know it got a updated version of Shards of Galanor. And here's what it does. Throwing knife kills now grants super energy ranging between 2.5% and 5% depending on the type of combatant defeated. So that is super crazy and busted when using this exotic. So we're going to need to use a melee build, which benefits from us providing more super energy for our Blade Barrage. Now let's start with the abilities. For the abilities, you got to go for Gambler's Dodge. For your solar melee, got to go for Knife Trick. And for your solar grenade, you got to go for Healing Grenade, because the more healing, the better. For the aspects, the first one is Knock 'em down, because your Blade Barrages launches more projectiles, and whenever you Radiant, final blows with your equipped throwing knife fully refund your melee energy. And your second aspect is On Your Mark. This one is good for your weapons and also the seasonal artifact mods. Now onto the fragments. There are 5 in total. The first one you want to go for Ember of Torches, which gives you Radiant whenever you melee a combatant with your solar melee. The second one is Ember of Singeing. Whenever you scorch a target, your class ability recharges faster. The third fragment is Ember of Char. Your solar ignition spreads Scorch to affected targets. This one is going to be extremely good for the exotic weapon we're going to be using for this build. The fourth one is Ember of Beams, which is good for Blade Barrage. It increases the target acquisition when casting Blade Barrage. And the fifth fragment is Ember of Eruption. Your solar ignitions have increased area of effect. This one is super good for the seasonal artifact mod, which you guys already know. And now let's head to the weapons. For the weapons, you're going to use this kinetic shotgun called the Conditional Finality. Everybody loves this shotgun in PvP and PvE. So for this one, whenever you get an ignition from your shotgun, it also spreads Scorch because of the third fragment we are using. For the energy weapon, I do recommend using a solar weapon that comes with incandescent. So in this video, I'm using Callus Mini Tool. For your power weapon, you can either use a solar rocket launcher or a solar grenade launcher. But in this video, I like to change it up a bit, so I choose to use this solar grenade launcher called Cry Mutiny that comes with incandescent and swashbuckler. And here are also the seasonal mods that I was using for this build if you guys would like to copy it. And this one's a little bit different because we're using a grenade launcher. So on the second column, whenever you get a rapid final blow with rocket launchers or grenade launchers, it would grant you an armor charge. And I also forgot to mention that currently right now I'm at 11 out of 12 seasonal mods currently. So on this hunter build, you can go for solo operative, and same thing with the warlock build as well. So here are all of the armor mods that you'll need for the hunter. If you want to be very efficient with your super, you got to go for 100 intellect and resilience. So if you would have 100 intellect, it would bring down your Blade Barrage cooldown to 5 minutes and 48 seconds instead of 7 minutes and 35 seconds. Last but not least, let's head to the Titan. The exotic armor you're going to want to use is Pyrogale Gauntlets. This is actually pretty cool because it forces you to use the second super for the Titan, which is Burning Maul. It basically converts your Burning Maul into a one-shot high damage slam and creates 3 cyclones of flames, which also deals more damage. And also the concentration aspect, the second slam creates a cyclone as well. So that's what we're going to be using for our aspect as well. For the abilities, you're going to want to put is Healing Grenade. The other abilities don't matter. You can choose any other options that you like. For the aspects, you got to use Roaring Flames if you want to increase your solar ability damage. And of course, you already know the second aspect is Consecration. And for the fragments, here's what you need to run. The first one is Ember of Torches. The second one is Ember of Wonder. Rapidly defeating multiple targets with solar ignitions generates an orb of power, which also stuns unstoppable champions. The third one is Ember of Eruption. It increases the area of effect for your ignitions. And the last one is Ember of Solace. Of course, we're using a melee build for the Titan, so we got to use Monte Carlo. And if you don't know what the catalyst does, you basically have the ability to use your bayonet, which gives you half of your melee energy once you poke someone in the butt. I know that you're mostly going to be using the Monte Carlo to give you enough melee energy to proc Consecration, but I just want to let you guys know what other weapons I was using. The energy weapon is a solar fusion rifle called the Cartesian Coordinate. You can go 2 routes. You can use a solar grenade launcher or a solar rocket launcher. In this video, I'm using a solar rocket launcher called the Apex Predator. And here are the seasonal mods I was using for this build. And again, I have 11 out of 12 seasonal mods. So the 12th one, I do recommend going for solo operative. And again, here are all of the armor mods right here. And yeah, bada bing, bada boom, have the armor mods, ya boy. And again, for the stats on this build, you got to go for resilience and discipline. Who would have guessed? I chose not to go for strength because Monte Carlo already carries the strength. So that's why I chose not to put strength. So yeah, if I had to rank which build is the most busted out of them all, I do have to go for the Warlock. Because 1, Vex Mythic class got a buff. 2, the seasonal artifact mods, which gives you insane amounts of ignitions. Like, you could even compare how many ignitions you're going to be receiving. Oh my goodness. Or not even receiving, unleashing. That's what you're going to be doing. And you're also going to be scorching every single ad, every single ad, and also getting unlimited Radiant, which is, I believe, a 25% increased weapon damage buff. That's really insane, to be honest. That's like super crazy. And then for second place, Hunter, and third, Titan. Sadly, because your boy is a Titan main, so it is what it is, I guess. And also, be sure to let me know what is your favorite build out of these 3. I already told you guys my rankings, and I'm interested to know what your rankings are. Be sure to drop a sub, hit that like button, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care and peace.